Welcome into the Ohio State Football Report. I am Tom Downey. On today's show, we'll break down some more recruiting news, notes, and updates. Before we get into that, whoever comments the most on today's show will get a shout-out on a future video. If that's what you want, show it by spamming the comments section right now. Let's dive into recruiting. First up, Ohio State is predicted by a couple different On3 reporters to land 3-star offensive tackle Arron Thomas following his visit to Columbus. Here's what Thomas said and told On3. The environment was great. Everyone was hyped to be up there. The chance to play for maybe the best program in the country is exciting. The standard of excellence at OSU is so high. It forces you to get better. That gets me fired up because I'm really competitive and I just like winning. All things you're searching for there. Thomas is not the highest profile recruit. He is the number 9 ranked recruit in the state of Arizona, but he's only a 3-star. He's 602 overall, 50th ranked among offensive tackles. The Buckeyes are pretty high on him. They're going after him pretty hard. And I do wonder if this is a potential, he ends up being a higher rated kid when it's all said and done. Because the visits knocked out Minnesota, knocked out Ohio State, Florida State, Texas, and A&M. Those are pretty big programs. Sometimes when you're looking at 3 stars, you see like Kentucky and maybe a Cincinnati, and then Ohio State gets involved too, and they end up landing him. This is some big-name programs. Now, Thomas also said Ohio State was at least a top 2 school for him. So we'll see how those visits go with FSU and Texas and A&M, but there's a couple of different On3 recruiting prediction machine entries, including Steve Wiltfong, that think the Buckeyes will end up landing Thomas. He said he'll commit before the end of June, so we should know 3 weeks, probably not long after that June 20th visit, maybe even sooner, where he will end up committing to. So far, quiet June. I don't think that's going to stay the case. I think that will change in the pretty near future. So how many recruits will Ohio State end up landing this month? 0? 7? What's the figure? Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. Let's stick on the offensive line. On3 reporting that Ohio State made a big push and a big move to try to land Breck Kolojay, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, again, I'm terribly sorry, following his visit. Now, remember, NCAA changed the rules. You're allowed more than just the 5 official visits. There's a lot of them for Kolojay. He's already completed ones to Oklahoma, to Colorado, to Ohio State, of course. He's got Miami coming up June 6th, then Georgia and USC and Tennessee. So he's flying all over the country because, to be honest, you're not driving. Maybe you could drive to Georgia. That might be pushing it. To Georgia, out to USC, back to Tennessee, and then a October one for Florida, which is kind of unusual to see a in-season scheduled visit that far out in advance. This one does very much feel like a battle, but it'd be a nice one for Ohio State to get. There's some inside-outside flexibility. The composite has him as an interior offensive lineman. It's also high school recruiting. Like those guys tend to jump around a lot position-wise in college. 19th ranked interior offensive lineman, 43rd ranked player in the state, is a top 300 recruit. Always good to get those guys on the offensive line. I think this one is still very much an open battle. I mean, we got official visits scheduled for mid-season at this point. Again, by all accounts, OSU made a good move, made some progress, are in the thick of things for Kolojay. I'd like to target, and this is just philosophically, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. I like to target offensive line heavy in recruiting. There are offensive linemen who hit the transfer portal, but it's harder to find those guys. Offensive linemen, for whatever reason, don't leave as much. I mean, that is a statistically proven fact. They don't jump around. They don't have as much chaos. There's not as many top-end available guys. That changes sometimes. Buckeyes got a couple this year. Tony Nawa, Brendan Daniels. But I think you would like to have a good, stable base of talented offensive linemen. I think O-line in particular, if you could have an ideal spot to recruit, sign, and develop, I think offensive line is the spot, and then you can kind of fill in gaps easier. Not saying it's easy, but easier with some other spots. As of right now, 3 offensive line recruits for Ohio State. They are clearly not done. They're looking for, I think, at least 1 or 2 more this cycle. Maxwell Riley is 129 overall. Sam Greer's 107. Tucker Smith is 641. It's 2 OTs and an interior guy, but again, that's very changeable as we move along here. You can get this Ohio State National Championship hat on sale by going to chatsports.com/OSU hat. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. We have some national championship gear this summer. It's also a great Father's Day gift if you got a dad who is a big OSU fan or a father-in-law. Maybe a flip could be coming for the Buckeyes. Jamir Perez, or Jamir Perez, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. By the way, Perez still is going to visit Ohio State. So he was a surprise commit to Florida after his visit because he's from Ohio. He's from Cleveland, actually. He is still going to take his visit to Ohio State in June and is not shutting things down. So door is not closed on this one for Perez and for the Buckeyes out of Glenville, I believe. Number 27th ranked player in the state, 650. Again, when you've got Florida and Ohio State after you pretty hard, I do wonder if in a month that changes to, oh, now he's 350. Just like a sudden jump up there. And the composite sometimes lags behind guys too if they're just some of the services are, if one's way behind, that can happen there. But this is someone the Buckeyes are at least trying to flip to add some big boy depth on the interior of that defensive line. Now, as we sit right now, Ohio State is number 3 in the 2026 recruiting class rankings with some of the better efficiency. They've got 13 commits. They're number 3 overall. USC has 27, a pretty shockingly strong class from the Trojans, who have not maybe had the best recruiting success as of late. A lot of 3-stars in that class, though, so they are gettable. To put it in perspective, USC's, like, if you like the point ranking, their current class would only rank 7th, I think it is. Yeah, 7th from last year's class. So big volume, but very gettable for all these other teams if they add some more higher-end talented recruits. Notre Dame's got 16, but no 5-stars. In fact, OSU with 2 5-stars is the most. There's nobody else in that category as of this time, at least in the top 50 as I look at here on the 24/7 Sports composite rankings. Bunch of 1-star, bunch of 5-star recruits. But the Buckeyes' top-end talent, again, looks pretty sharp. So when it's all said and done for this cycle, will the Buckeyes end up with a top 2 recruiting class? Y for yes, N for no? Let me know in the comments of today's video. Let's talk the Ohio State versus Alabama recruiting battle going on here for 4-star tight end Max Sudter, however you pronounce it. This is the number 1 ranked player in the state of Illinois. On 3 reporting, it seems to be a Buckeyes versus Bama battle brewing. Say that 5 times fast for Max Sudter. Number 81 overall recruit. I said the easy part poorly and the hard part right. Go figure. Number 6th ranked tight end. He does have 2 more visits left. These are, again, all official visits, by the way, the ones we've discussed today. Illinois, Ole Miss, Ohio State. Check. All done. Penn State coming up on June 6th. And Alabama coming up on June 20th. So beating out the Crimson Tide would be a nice one for the Buckeyes. Speaking of a Ohio State-Alabama battle, we are in a sub-battle this month against the Alabama Football Report. We'll have free videos all off-season long. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/GoBucks. One more note on a notable recruit. That is Kahari Wilder. I think that's how it's pronounced, the first name at least. On3 says they are, quote-unquote, all in on him, and they, quote-unquote, wouldn't bet against the Buckeyes landing the 4-star edge, a spot they have to get some more help and some more talent. Here's what Wilder said about his visit to Columbus. It was definitely a great visit on all fronts. My first time seeing the campus, first time being in Columbus, was definitely very eye-opening. In just that short time, I was able to get a feel for the city, the culture, and it was great. It was a great visit on all fronts. I think all of that stuff is impactful. It matters. So I think Wilder overall had a very strong time, had a very strong visit with the Buckeyes. Puts him in the mix. Kind of a unique group of visits he's got planned. He obviously knocked out the Ohio State one. The UCLA one is coming up on June 6th. Notre Dame on June 13th, and Washington on June 20th. This is the 25th ranked player in the state of California. So, 2 West Coast teams, 2 Midwest teams are the 4 he's considering there. 248 overall. I've said it before. I do think edge talent is going to be key for the Buckeyes to try to acquire as they build out this 2026 recruiting class.